Your instinct to swoop in and fix every tiny struggle for your baby might be stunting their growth in ways you never imagined. Picture this: a 10-month-old plopped on a colorful playmat, eyes locked on a bright red ball just out of reach. She grunts, stretches, and wiggles, her little fingers straining. Before she can even try to solve the puzzle, someone, maybe you, rushes over, scoops up the ball, and hands it to her with a smile. It feels like love, right? But what if that split-second act of care is quietly robbing her of the chance to learn how to crawl, balance, or even think for herself? This isn't about neglect or letting your kid fend for themselves. It's about a habit so ingrained in parenting, jumping to meet every need the instant it appears, that we don't even notice we're doing it. I've been there. Just yesterday, my little one was surrounded by a book, a xylophone, and that pesky red ball. The moment it rolled a foot away, I was on autopilot, grabbing it before she could even lean forward. It hit me like a ton of bricks. By helping, I was stealing her chance to figure it out. She didn't get to practice shifting her weight, stretching her arms, or scooting her body, skills she needs to master before she can crawl across the room. That one small act, repeated day after day, was holding her back from a milestone. Why do we do this? It starts early. Newborns cry, and we're wired to respond instantly. Milk for hunger, cuddles for fussiness, a pacifier snatched off the floor before the wails begin. It's survival. And it's beautiful. A 2019 study from the Journal of Child Development found that immediate responsiveness in the first 3 months builds trust and emotional security. But as babies grow, that same instinct can become a reflex we don't question. By 6 months, we're still placing toys in their laps, spoon-feeding when they fumble with Cheerios, or flipping them over when they get stuck mid-roll. We see a problem. A toy out of reach, a frustrated grunt, and our hearts scream, "Fix it." But what if the real fix is stepping back? Let's rewind to that red ball. Imagine your baby, maybe 8 months old, sitting on the floor, her favorite rattle just beyond her tiny fingertips. She leans, wobbles, and lets out a determined huff. Your hand twitches to grab it for her. But what if you wait? Just 5 seconds, 10 tops. In that brief pause, she's not just reaching for a rattle, she's learning. Her core muscles engage as she balances, her brain puzzles over how to close the gap, her tiny body experiments with new movements. She might tip slightly, then recover, teaching herself how to stabilize. These micro moments of effort are where the magic happens. A 2021 study from the University of Cambridge showed that babies who experience small, manageable challenges, like reaching for objects, develop motor skills and problem-solving abilities up to 30% faster than those who are overly assisted. Here's where it gets wild. Those small struggles don't just build muscles or coordination. They shape how your kid thinks and feels. Take my daughter. She hasn't crawled yet, but she's a master at spinning in circles on her butt to snag a toy just out of reach. The first time I saw it, I laughed out loud, picturing a tiny breakdancer twirling on the floor. But it wasn't just cute. It was her solving a problem. She tried, failed, then figured out a workaround. That's resilience in the making. When we pause, we give them a chance to test their limits, to learn that effort pays off. A 2023 report from the American Academy of Pediatrics highlighted that early problem-solving experiences correlate with stronger emotional regulation by age 3. Kids who tackle small challenges early are less likely to melt down over frustrations later. But let's be real. Pausing isn't easy. It feels wrong, almost cruel, to watch your baby grunt and strain. Your heart races. whispering, "What if they get upset?" Here's the thing. This isn't about leaving them to cry it out. If your baby's genuinely distressed, tears streaming, you scoop them up, no question. This is about those in-between moments when they're reaching, squirming, or puzzling over a toy. I tried it last week with a puzzle piece my daughter couldn't quite grab. I counted to 10 in my head, biting my lip. She stretched, tipped, and then, bam, she snagged it, her face lighting up like she just won the baby Olympics. That grin, it was pride, pure and simple. She'd done it herself, and I hadn't stolen that moment from her. What happens when we don't pause? We risk keeping them dependent longer than they need to be. Think about it. If every toy is placed in their lap, they don't learn to stretch or scoot. If we spoon feed every bite, they don't master the pincer grip that leads to self-feeding. A 2020 study from the Journal of Motor Behavior found that babies who were frequently rescued from small physical challenges like reaching or rolling showed delays in gross motor milestones like crawling by up to 2 months. 2 months. That's a lifetime in baby years. And it's not just physical. Overhelping can subtly teach them that problems are solved by someone else, not through their own grit. By age 5, kids who were overly assisted as infants are less likely to persist in challenging tasks, according to a 2022 study in developmental psychology. Now let's flip it. What happens when you give them space? Picture your toddler, maybe 14 months, eyeing a block tower just out of reach. They shuffle forward, wobble, and stretch. In that moment, they're not just chasing a block, they're building a foundation. Physically, they're strengthening core muscles and fine-tuning balance, critical for walking. Cognitively, they're learning cause and effect. If I move this way, I get closer. Emotionally, they're discovering that trying, even failing, leads to success. My daughter's spinning trick, it's not just a quirky move. It's her brain and body teaming up to solve a puzzle. Last week, I watched her struggle to pull herself up on a low table. I held my breath, counting to 10. She slipped once, grunted, then tried again, finally standing with a triumphant squeal. I swear, she looked at me like, "Did you see that?" That moment wasn't just about standing. It was about her learning she could do hard things. This pause isn't just for big milestones, like crawling or walking. It's for the small stuff, too. Feeding themselves a messy handful of peas? Let them fumble. Trying to fit a shape into a sorter? Don't nudge it in. Even vocalizing, those babbles and grunts, are their way of working through frustration. A friend of mine noticed her 11-month-old son would babble louder when a toy was just out of reach, like he was talking himself through it. She started waiting a few seconds before helping, and within a week, he was scooting toward toys and babbling whole sentences of determination. Those pauses gave him confidence, not just in his body, but in his voice. Here's a curveball. Even how we praise during these moments matters. It's tempting to gush, "You're so smart," when they finally grab that toy. But research from Stanford University's Carol Dweck in 2018 suggests that praising intelligence, "You're so clever," can backfire, making kids fear failure when tasks get harder. Instead, praising effort, "Wow, you kept trying and got it," builds resilience. I caught myself doing this with my daughter. When she finally nabbed that puzzle piece, I didn't say, "You're a genius." I said, "Look at how hard you worked to get that." Her smile was just as big, but I could see the wheels turning. She knew her effort mattered. Let's talk numbers to drive this home. A 2024 meta-analysis in child development reviewed 15 studies on infant motor skill development. Babies whose parents allowed brief moments of independent effort think 5 to 10 seconds, showed a 25% faster progression in skills like sitting, crawling, and pulling up compared to those whose parents intervened immediately. Emotionally, the impact is even bigger. Kids who experience these small struggles by age 1 are 40% more likely to show persistence in problem-solving tasks by age 4, per a 2023 study from the University of Michigan. These aren't just stats. They're proof that those tiny pauses can shape your child's future, from how they move to how they face challenges. Now, for the heart melter, a few days ago, my daughter was on her playmat eyeing a plush bunny just beyond her reach. She stretched, wobbled, and started spinning in her signature breakdance move. I counted to 10, my fingers itching to help. Then, out of nowhere, she lunged forward, grabbed the bunny, and flopped onto her belly with a giggle that could light up a room. She clutched that bunny like it was a trophy, her eyes sparkling with pride. I laughed, picturing her as a tiny adventurer conquering a mountain. That moment wasn't just cute. It was a glimpse of her growing into someone who doesn't give up. And all it took was me staying still for 10 seconds. So here's the deal. Next time your baby's reaching for a toy, fumbling with a spoon, or grunting to roll over, pause. Count to 10. Let them wrestle with it. You're not abandoning them, you're giving them a chance to grow. If they're truly upset, scoop them up, love them fiercely. But in those small, safe struggles, you're building their strength, their smarts, their grit. Want to track their progress? I've got a guide on developmental milestones for the first 12 months. Grab it via the link below. It's packed with tips to spot what's next for your little one. If this hit home, give it a like, subscribe, and share. It's what keeps me sharing these stories. And tell me in the comments, what's a moment you've seen your baby figure something out on their own? Let's celebrate those tiny victories together.